Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Dano, and welcome to the channel. This installment for Deep Rock Galactic is for the Greenbeards, or the noob players. I will give you some tips for starting out in DRG. I myself have just under about 100 hours at this point, so I don't consider myself to be a Greenbeard, but I still got a little ways to go for that Greybeard status. I will say that this is not a complete guide, and any tips that I either got wrong or didn't include, please let me know down in the comments. Not only would I like to pass along this information, but I am always striving to be a better player in DRG. So first, which miner to pick? Honestly, whichever one is fun for you to play. I tried them all, and I suggest you try them all too. They all play just a little bit differently, and can be fun to switch around to. Also, playing only one type of miner could lead to burnout, and you could stop playing the game before you even reach some of that in-game content. But whichever miner you pick, they all kind of have the same breakdown. They have the same buttons to use the same types of equipment. 1 is always your primary, 2 is always your sidearm, pressing 3 is always some kind of traverse equipment, 4 is always your class equipment for that type of miner, and 5 is always to call down an ammo drop. So whichever one you pick, it should feel familiar. So after picking the miner you want to play with, you want to go over to the assignment table. It looks like this right here, and pick an assignment. Now, if you just started off, you just downloaded, you'll only have one assignment available. It's the exploration of Hoxus, and you'll have to do that assignment before you can get to the other assignments. But after that assignment, you'll come across assignments for better weapons. After you've leveled up certain miners, you'll come across picks, you'll come across another important one after Hoxus is unlocking the mineral trade table. So you can trade one of your minerals for another type of mineral if you have more than enough of one and you need some of the other to buy, like a weapon mod. After choosing the assignment, you'll head over to the mission table. It's right behind you from the assignment table. And on the mission table, when you open it up, there will automatically be a blinking diamond shape. And that blinking diamond shape is the mission you need to do to start the assignment or to continue the assignment you're currently on. After selecting your mission, you're prompted with 4 options. You can either join one that's already in progress, you can host a public one, you can host a friends-only one, or you can start a solo one. I really recommend hosting a game for public, for friends, or for solo for your first few. If you join one that's already in progress, you may not see the beginning of it. And the beginning of the mission explains a lot and shows you how the beginning of the mission looks. But if you host one, you will either get some Greybeards with you, and they can be very, very handy because they can show you, they can ping. Some Greybeards may even join in voice chat and help you along the way. It is my opinion, and in my experience, don't be afraid to host a public one. Anybody that's joined my groups have always been helpful, been 100% willing to just help you along and do the mission. Everybody's there to have a successful mission and to rock and stone, and no dwarf left behind. Now let's look at the mining manual. Now, if you've just picked your first mission and you want to know kind of what that mission entails, you can look at the mining manual. The mining manual does break down and show you how to do each type of mission, and it will also tell you about a lot of the different kinds of bugs you have already encountered while you journeyed through Hoxus. And while it can be a bit of reading, it has so much information in that mining manual, and you can find it in your bay inside the spaceship, but also during mission, it's on your escape menu. You can reference it at any time. All right. So you picked your assignment, you picked your mission, you got in the drop pod, you dropped down. Now what? First few tips I'm going to show, doesn't matter what mine you pick, this is just general advice. Nitra. This is what Nitra looks like. It's bright red and shiny. Now Nitra means ammunition. You need to collect at least 80 Nitra to call in an ammo drop. Now besides your pickaxe, and maybe the exception of the grapple hook from the scout, everything in this game takes some kind of ammunition. Personally, I never pass up Nitra. I will collect it every time. If my bags are full of Nitra, I find the mule, I drop it off, I grab more Nitra. I find that it's a lot more fun to end the match with extra Nitra and extra ammunition pods dropped than it is to constantly be looking for Nitra in the middle of a swarm. Alright, next tip. At least while you're a Greenbeard, I would stay together. Don't really venture off by yourself. The longer you play the game, the more you'll realize when you can do that. But at least while you're a Greenbeard, it's a lot easier to stay together. When swarms happen, you can help each other. When somebody does an ammo drop, you can grab the ammo, it'll be right there. And if they do happen to fall, you can revive them. Next tip, the laser pointer. This thing is extremely handy. Not everybody uses voice chat, but by holding control and clicking on something, it will ping it for your entire team. Doesn't stay up the whole match, but it will ping it. It will say what it is and show you where it's at. And never be afraid, even as a Greenbeard, to ping something. If you do want to ping something and have it permanently stay up on the map, holding control and then hitting E while you're looking at it will put a permanent marker on the map that will persist throughout that match. My next bit of advice just kind of is a common courtesy. Before you push any buttons, even if it's your hosted map, while you're at least a Greenbeard too, don't progress the story by pushing the buttons on the mule to advance the story, or on the driller, or any of the buttons without at least in chat just hit enter, hit R, hit enter again. A lot of the Greybeards will say, hey, no, we need to do this first. And it's just to get more points, more XP, which is why you're playing the game. So just before you push that button, just a courtesy of asking if everyone's ready. A simple reason for this is a lot of these scripted events cause a swarm. Like when you start up the oil pump for the liquid extraction of Morkite, the noise of the oil pump does cause bugs to be drawn to your area. So you might want to gather more nitra and cull in more ammo drops before you start that event. Alright, let's talk about the map in Deep Rock Galactic. Probably one of the best maps that you can get in just about any kind of game like this. It's 3D, it's rotatable, you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. This map has a lot of information on it. It will show you where your teammates are at, it'll show you current mission objectives. A really good use for it is when you come to one of those compacted dirt segments when you're trying to dig from one area to the next. Hold tab and look at to see exactly what direction, both left and right and up and down, your next tunnel will be to dig to. Also, less of a tip and more just a common courtesy. If somebody else on your team gives you a rock and stone, you gotta give one back. Pressing V will give a salute back of various types of, if you don't rock and stone, you ain't going home. And you might even be accused of being a pointy-eared leaf lover if you don't do it. Another mantra that's in this game is leave no dwarf behind. And it seems to never mean more than when the drop pod at the end of the mission is called. I've had miners run back 100 meters to revive me and run back with seconds spare. I've also used the driller to drill straight down to a downed dwarf and revive him to run back to the pod just in time. And speaking of drillers, I've often looked to our driller and followed them to the pod. Sometimes you'll find them look at their map and start drilling a tunnel directly to the escape pod, because it may be the fastest way. If you are the driller, even if you're a Greenbeard, my only suggestion is before you dig straight towards the drop pod, hold tab, look at your map. One of the times I tried this as a driller, I didn't reference the map first and ended up drilling out into a huge cavern halfway up the wall and falling to my own demise. Alright, in this section of the tips video, I'm going to go over specific tips for specific types of miners. Now, being that this is a beginner's guide, I will mostly cover the beginning equipment and not really go into what you unlock as you reach level 20. And since we just talked about drillers a second ago, let's start with driller. First, the bomb isn't to grieve other miners. It is the most common way to die from friendly fire in the game. It's a big bomb. Your flamethrower has a very short range, but is very good at crowd control, meaning you can burn a lot of bugs, or miners, at once. And your drills, they're not only good at making tunnels, but they're also decent melee ranged weapons. And a tip with the drills to help you aim in the right direction, I like to either ping what I'm drilling towards, or if you just at least tap the control button like you're going to ping something, it will highlight big stuff that's in the game. Like if you're drilling from a Morkite miner back to the oil pump, you can start by hitting control, seeing the silhouette of the whole mining rig, and digging towards it. Alright, moving on to gunner. That minigun that you start off with is actually pretty good, and only gets better if you get a few weapon mods in. Like armor piercing rounds, so it kind of lets you shoot anywhere on a bug, you don't have to aim for the squishy part. Now the minigun does take a few seconds to wind up, and then a few seconds to get accurate. But I like to take a short rest in between bursts of rounds. It kind of lets the minigun keep spinning so you don't lose accuracy and ramp up speed, but you save just a little bit of ammunition. I like to use the gunner ziplines when it helps the entire team, either to cross large gaps or if the mission takes place in a central spot, like extraction missions. You can put ziplines out from the center in a kind of wagon wheel shape, and it will give everybody a quick and easy way in and out. Another cool thing about the gunner is its shield. Even with no upgraded modifications on it, it will last long enough to revive a fallen miner. You can swoop in, drop a shield, and start reviving, and you'll have enough time to revive them before enemies even get to you. Now, it will only last about as long as reviving somebody, so both people should be prepared to run after the revive. Biggest tip I can give for the engineer is that your platform gun is extremely useful. When you're first starting out, you might find that a lot of the other miners are pinging resources that are like halfway up a wall and then just staring at you and then staring at the resource. They're asking you to put a platform right below it. If you do that, 9 times out of 10, the scout will grapple up to it and get that resource, and you've only used one platform. Well, if you try to use your platform gun to slowly staircase up to that, you're going to use like 5 or 6 of them. Your platforms can also be very useful for filling the top of holes so that you don't fall back through them. Say you found where a ammo drop went through a tunnel that was up higher, you can fall through that hole and fall all the way down. And falling death is one of the most, if not the most common death in Deep Rock Galactic. So filling that hole with just one of your platforms could save the entire team. And after you've played Engineer a bit, and you can unlock some of the weapon mods, getting the one that makes your platforms squishy, it reduces your fall damage. So you can place one below you, fall down on it, and you won't die or even take any damage depending on how tall you're falling from. Another engineer tip, if there is more than one engineer on your team, doesn't matter which engineer it is, they can both fill each other's turret's ammunition. And for the scout, your grapple gun does not use ammo. And with the right weapon mod, it can be used very quickly again. I use it to get out of trouble fast, or to reach those engineer platforms, or to get those hard to reach materials. But again, it doesn't use ammo. All of the other classes, their traverse equipment uses some kind of ammo. The Scout's flare gun is much better than just the little flares that come with every class. If you shoot it straight up, it will light up almost the entire area right around you if the roof isn't too tall. So taking a large room and just shooting 2 to 3 to maybe 4 flares spread out will light up the entire room for the entire team, where your little flare, when you hit F, is just kind of around you. So what I tend to do is fire a few around the room, and then I will ping the resources, and hopefully the engineer notices and fires a platform below them, and I'll try to grapple up and grab those resources. One of my main goals as a scout is to have mined more nitra than any of the other players. Alright, so you've played a few missions, and you notice at the end of the mission, you gain some perk points. You can turn those in right inside your own bay in the spaceship, and you can redeem them on perks. There are only a few you can choose from as you first get going, but you get a lot as you continue playing this game. The ones I liked to start with were Heightened Senses and Friendly Fire. But I could see that if you're playing a lot of solo play, Friendly Fire wouldn't make sense. You can always choose another one. A lot of these, it really is personal choice. There are builds you can go and look at online. One of the websites I found is one that's called Carl, spelled with a K, .gg. It has a lot of loadouts that you can strive for if you're beginning, or use if you've been playing for a while. I'll put that website as a link in the description. So after you've unlocked some of these perks, to actually equip them, just go over to the equipment table. It looks just like this. And right there on the left, you'll find the spots you have available to equip the perks. This is also where you buy and equip weapon mods. These will happen as you progress the level of that miner's class, and as you have enough materials gathered to buy that weapon mod. Each unlocked tier of your weapon mod can only be equipped with one weapon mod. Even though you might have 1, 2, 3 available, you can only equip one in that tier. And that Carl.gg will talk about the weapon mods and which ones you should use for that build. But really, this is a lot of personal play. I have found that only a few of the weapon mods won't synergize with an entire build, but I like to go with a balance of a little bit of extra ammo, but a lot of damage. But of all of these weapon mods, the one I would prioritize over any of them is the ones for the armor mods. I would unlock those as fast as you get mats for that class. Because as you buy all of the tiers, and I would buy all of them for the armor, you'll see at the bottom that there's unlockable things. Some of them are just paint jobs for your armor, but along the armor class, if you unlock the entire thing, there are 3 of them that are +5 health. so you get plus 15 health just for buying all the armor mods. Well, these are just some tips to help you get going in your mining journey and become maybe less of a Greenbeard, but not quite a Graybeard. If you found any of this information useful or entertaining, please consider giving this channel a like. It really does help the channel. And if you want to see any more content like this, consider a subscription and hitting that bell. You'll know when I post another video. I really do enjoy playing Deep Rock Galactic and making content for it. I will be doing more of it in the future. If there's anything you would like me to do specifically about Deep Rock Galactic, just let me know in the comments. So far I have planned to do individual videos of each class to kind of go more in depth of how I play them. And as I get a little bit more experience with overclocks and deep dives, I'd like to post more videos about that also. I do read the comments and will take all considerations seriously. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll leave you with, if you don't rock and stone, you ain't going home. And remember to keep on gaming.